Alright, cheesers. Another video. In this one, I'm going to be going through what we did in 2022 and kind of talking about that and like things that worked, things that didn't, things I'd like to explore more, stuff like that. But in the beginning of this one, as I've been doing with all the other ones, we're gonna do on the 31st, on New Year's Eve, around 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. I'm gonna be doing a stream where I'm gonna go through. It's gonna be like kind of a premiere like watch party of sorts for the last track countdown. And again, I've said it in all the videos, it's gonna be more than just a track countdown. So it's gonna be a sick video. So if you're not doing anything for New Year's Eve, you're not doing anything at that time, but you're still awake, still alert, definitely recommend checking it out. I think it might be pretty sweet. I think it might be pretty sweet. All right, so I guess we could look at before a little bit before this year. So Halo 5, right? So we had like Halo 5. Technically, Season 1 and 2 were 2016. Technically, those were 2016, but Season 1 was the only one that we, like, really fully finished. Season 2 got cut short. So we ran into that problem again. And we had a lot of time to, like, rethink and go over ideas and stuff like that. And eventually, we decided to bring it back for the next year, 2017. And then we ran these main series, like, pretty consistently. Right? Ran all these seasons in 2017. We go to 2018 where it was like pretty much the same stuff. We did a little thing different for season 9 and we ended season 9 a little bit earlier, so we had like a longer break, which was I think most people were actually down for that at the time, so this is actually like kind of a good thing. But we also threw in like season 8 for do something different, like the Oval series. So yeah, like season 9 being short and like cutting things off short was a little bit different because we ended in October. But I think like most people were down for that because we're like pretty burnt out at the time. And then we're down to bring it back with a GP season in January. So we ran the GP season in the beginning of next year, 2019. And then 2019 had that, and it had season 11, which got cut short, but still was like, you know, compared to other things that got cut short, I mean, this was still basically like a full season, you know? Maybe not as full as like the other main series seasons, but I would still consider this a full season as opposed to like some other like the go-kart series that got cut short. Like that was obviously a pretty big cancellation. This is not the case. We actually got some decent races in here. And so that was it for 2019. And then 2020 decided to run it back, and things went really well for Oval Season 2. And then Shift entered the chat in the quarantine series, so we chalked it there. Anyways, so that was that. And then a long break. Like, this is the longest break for HRL since we started doing events. This is the longest break. April 2020 to February 2022. No races. In 2021, which is the only year, again, since we started, since 2012, is the only year where we didn't hold a race. That being said, we did a lot. We did a lot in Halo 5, so even that, like, break, I feel like, was deserved, even though it was pretty long. Obviously, you know, I don't think I would have wanted it to be that long, but that's kind of how things worked out. But anyways, this all leads us to now. Or, well, to this year, getting to the now. We run it back, and we start off with the stage idea. We ran the go-kart stage, but already at the end of the go-kart stage, I think there was already some discussion about like the stage format and whether we wanted to continue with it, because that's the thing. I mean, it was supposed to be like 6 stages. It's supposed to last a really long time. But the nice thing is about breaking it up in parts is that, you know, at the end of the first stage or two, if we didn't want to continue with it, we could reevaluate. And there was already some discussion about that for sure at the end of stage 1. Like, I promise there was already talks of that. And then with stage 2, it was like, yeah, all right, we should have probably chalked it in stage 1. Like, we probably should have just chalked it and went with our plan B in stage 1. So stage 2, end up chalking it and decided to do a mini, which it's like a mini season, but at the same time, like, we already did all these races too. So even though this is like a separate thing from the first 2 stages, I don't know, it's still like the last running of Halo 5, so it still felt like part of it. So maybe that's part of why we made it a bit shorter. But regardless, the major factor was we started racing on MCC and having more fun. That was the major factor to being shorter. But regardless, we chalked the stages. We decided, like, all right, let's just do this short send-off. So that's what we do. We run the part 2. We do the short send-off. And this was actually not that bad. That being said, I was still, like, ready to move on. But I definitely had more fun with this than I did with either of these 2 stages. Personally. So, and I hope it went that way for other people as well. But yeah, it was a little bit better. That being said, I think we're all just like ready to move on from Halo 5. It was exciting to come back in 2022, and it was exciting to have this idea like, all right, we're coming back, we're giving Halo 5 like last send-off. But once we started doing it, it was like, oh, okay, this is why we stopped racing on here. And we kind of realized that, and decided to, still wanted to do a send-off, but wanted to tidy it up a little bit. So that's what we ended up doing. But like I said, we started racing on MCC, and that's part of the reason why we shortened this too, is because we had so much fun on MCC. This World of Outlaws season, World of Outlaws Season 4, this is probably one of my favorite HRL series that we've done, this World of Outlaws Season 4. This was a hell of a lot of fun. I had a great time in the regular season and the grand finals for this. Look at all the different Moto winners, especially in Moto 1. I remember, like, Moto 2, me and Detail kind of dominated. Like, we won almost all the Moto 2s for whatever reason. But look at Moto 1. It's, like, it's so different. I mean, hell, I didn't even win a Moto 1 until, like, the very end here. But, yeah, this, and then the overall winners, like, quite a good variety there, too. It was really fun. Like, seriously. And a lot of people were backing that up, too, when I was doing, like, driver interviews and stuff. Like, a lot of people really enjoyed this World of Outlaws Season 4, and this will probably go down as one of my favorite HRL series that we've ever ran. This is probably, well, one of a few, but probably the big W for me from this year was this series. Really fun to work on those tracks, really fun to race, really fun to do the videos. Had a great time. And then we have DSS, which didn't work out entirely. I mean, we still completed it, we just didn't really do the grand finals, and had to slightly shorten the season. So basically, part of this was like a combination of burnout. Like, I did like basically all the new tracks almost entirely by myself. I did have some help from Detail and Grand Finals tracks and Eldora, I think, and I think Armada might have helped me with some aesthetic stuff on a couple of the other regular season ones as well. But even then, you know, nobody else made like a track on their own. Like, even if I had help, I was still working on every track. So I was working on every single track, or that every single new track that we introduced in this World of Outlaws series. And then we were doing TRS, so I was doing a lot of work on the TRS tracks as well. And this is coming off of all this World of Outlaw work. I was doing a lot of work on these TRS tracks as well. And then I had to do 2 like full-fledged like tracks for DSS, and I was just like, nah, I can't do it right now. I can't do it. Like, it's just way too much Forge burnout. Honestly, after I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna make that stuff for DSS, I'm kind of surprised that I was able to do as much more that I was able to for TRS even though TRS was you know, like easier tracks, you know, like not everything needed to be complicated, didn't need to go super hard with aesthetics and stuff like that. Like, even though TRS, you know, didn't take as much effort, it was still just like so much brain power and so much time too, just like putting in time. And, you know, 8 or so tracks, or 6 to 8 or so, however many I did for World of Outlaw, and then I probably did at least like 10 to 15 or so for TRS. It was just a lot, and the Forge burnout really started to hit. That being said, well, I was also getting busy on Fridays as well this summer too, but we figured it out. We still finished out the regular season for DSS, so it's still decent. That being said, from what I heard from people that like kept racing in it, is that it wasn't necessarily their favorite either. I still think it was a cool concept, but maybe just didn't work out so well. I don't know. But yeah, I still liked the idea for it, but I think the resounding like sentiment from it, and that I kind of agreed with this too, was wanting to do more like specific series. So instead of this being a mix, you know, this being a mix, doing stuff like World of Outlaw, doing stuff like TRS, you know, wanting to do more stuff like that. So then we go into Firestone Firehawk, which has a little bit of a switch up, a little bit of variety, but still like pretty similar, mostly GP focused tracks. Like the Spirit is kind of the same, even though we have the Gooses and the Hogs. But this series was wild. I went through it in the recap, so I don't want to reiterate all that. But in summary, loved it. Definitely, this will be up there. That was probably my 2 favorite series on the year, was this and World of Outlaws Season 4. I think I still might put World of Outlaws Season 4 for the regular season at least in front of this. Yeah, I think I probably would, but it's really close. Like, these are definitely the 2 most fun series that I had this year was definitely this one and that World of Outlaws Season 4. The Hogs are just so much fun. Can't wait to do them in a full series. Even on the Gooses, even in the H4 Gooses, like, it was fun to go back to that type of racing. It was fun to go back on those tracks. And we had some good races in there too. I mean, even that second moto and Hobgoblin in the grand final was actually, even for 6 people, that was a really good moto. Like, that was really fun. So even though the Hogs kind of stole the show, the H4 Goose stuff was still really fun too, and still put up some good action. And yeah, it was a good combination. Like, it just worked. I wasn't sure if it was gonna work, but it worked, and it was really fun. So loved this series. And then we did the Reach Throwback, which I enjoyed too. Admittedly though, it did go on a little bit too long. Like, if I were to do it again, I would probably shorten this a bit and make it the same length as Firestone Firehawk. Made these the same length. Because I think the Reach Throwback, while I did enjoy it, I think it went on just a little bit too long. And if I shortened it up a little bit, another benefit of that is we could have tidied up the track pool. Part of the reason why the Reach Throwback started to lose interest for me as it went on is we're just like strained on tracks in the track pool. We're starting to get to tracks that were like kind of meh. Like, if I took out like 5 of the regular season races from this, and then made the grand finals 3 tracks, but 2 motos on this track, on those tracks, that takes out so many, like, just kind of like meh, like average tracks from the schedule. And yeah, like, the schedule would be a lot stronger overall if I did that, and also like a little less burnout too on like it ending a little bit quicker. Maybe it could have been like maybe a little bit more competitive too, because the season for the regular season started to, you know, get pretty separated towards like that extra back half. So yeah, basically what I'm getting at is I just think while I didn't enjoy this as much as Firestone Firehawk. That being said, I still enjoyed it, but I think my enjoyment of the Reach Throwback would have been a lot higher. I think it was just a little bit too long, and I definitely see that now. Because yeah, like there's so many great tracks on the schedule. There's so many great tracks, and that was a big pull for me wanting to do this series, is to go back and race on these tracks again. But with how long I made it, and some of the changes in the schedule, there ended up being some tracks in here that weren't tracks that excited me as much. That were tracks that were more so thrown in here just to fill the space in the schedule, which, you know, looking back on, didn't need to be a thing. Definitely would have been stronger without that, for sure. So again, still enjoyed it, but a couple weeks cut from this, and then the grand finals perhaps being like three tracks and 2 motos instead, or something like that, I think would have made this overall, the strength of this Reach Throwback schedule a lot stronger, and I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable too, because, like I said, still had fun with it. It was just those last couple weeks where it was starting to lose interest. Like, if it would have ended it a little bit sooner, you know, I don't think I would have hit that point. I think it would have ended on a high instead of, you know, going back down the hill and going to more of a lull. But yeah, so anyways, at the end of the day, overall, still a successful year. Still going to look back at 2022 while there were obstacles and stuff like that, and while not everything went perfect and not everything went to plan, I still think this was a big W year overall. I'm proud that we consistently ran races with breaks as well, but consistently ran races, you know, ever since that start of the year, with like in February. Even with the breaks and even with like the Plan B and the Halo 5 stuff, like we still consistently ran events all the way to the end of the year, all the way to December. And it's the first time that we've done that in a long time, because I did that preamble. Like, let's go back again, because 2020 got ended early, 2019 ended early. I mean, technically 2018 ended a bit early too. I mean, honestly, I would probably consider 2018 the last time we did like a full year, even though it ended a little bit early. But like, technically it did though. Technically it did end a little bit early. So if you want to get super technical, this is the first time that we've made like this schedule work for like the entire year since 2017. You know, that's a long time. That's a long time, and it's kind of wild looking back on it now that is the case. So yeah, like, again, obstacles in the way, not perfect. Not everything went according to plan, but overall, still a major W of a year. Really glad that we got that consistent racing action in. Yeah, 2018 probably, like, mostly counts, but if you want to get super technical about it, let's say since 2017. But hey, either way, in a long time, like 4+ years that we've done that. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud that we've had some great races. Some of my favorite races in HRL, honestly, were in this year. TRS had some absolute bangers. Even Reach Throwback had some great races. Firestone Firehawk had many bangers. Yeah, like I said, TRS had a lot. Will of Outlaw Season 4 was, every other race was a banger. There was even some solid ones in this H5 beginning, too. And we had some memes in the Taco Bowl in TSS. So yeah, every series had like every series had like some memorable moments and stuff like that, which is good. I don't think anything was like completely forgettable. I think everything kind of had its own little aspect to it in this year. So yeah, just really happy with that. So all I can hope for looking into the future, looking into next year, is I hope we can just do more of the same, but also balance it, you know, figure it out how to do it in a way where we won't like burn out super hard, but we can still do things consistently throughout a year, if that makes sense. So yeah, maybe figure out how to balance it a bit better, but still try to keep it up, because, you know, I still had fun with this year, and there's still new ideas. Like, I'm still really looking forward to the Hog series. So many different things that we could do with Infinite. So many different, like, new areas to explore. But that's more so for the last video that I want to do leading up to the track countdown after this one, where I'm going to talk about, like, early next year stuff that we're going to do. So I'll leave the rest of this talk for that. But hope you guys enjoyed this little, like, my opinions on this year and stuff. And give me your thoughts, like, your tier list on the seasons in the year, your thoughts on the different series, like, your favorite series that you ran, favorite race from the year, different moment, whatever it is, whatever nostalgic memory feeling that you've got for, like, 2022 that's, like, fresh in your mind. Leave it in the comments. I'd be curious to hear it. For me personally, I don't even know, man. It's probably one of the crazy TRS races that we had. This Amazon 1 race still really sticks out to me. It's probably that, or one of these World of Outlaw races, like maybe the Chile event. The Chile event was really fun. So, you know, perhaps that one. Looking at some of these other races too, St. Jerry was pretty sweet too. Lafayette was also really fun. EXO was great. Like, there was a lot, man, there's a lot of good ones in World of Outlaw Season 4. I freaking loved Knoxville, Whitewater. Like, those tracks are all fire. Eldora's there's literally too many to count from for that one. But yeah, probably one of those banger World of Outlaw races, or I just still go back to this Amazon 1 race. That race was just a freaking great time. All right, but that's going to close it out for me. Again, proud of this year overall. Enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. All your opinions and feedback and whatnot. And next one, we'll be looking into early next year and giving a little more explanation into that. And then we'll be looking forward to the track countdown. I can't believe that it's finally coming, but it is. And yeah, it's going to be a banger. Make sure you don't miss it. See you guys there.